Hey guys, it's May from Markets with May, and in this episode we're going to do something a little different. This is 6 things that your Ukrainian friends should know if they're finding it difficult to access funds from the Ukrainian banking system. Now, for my Gurula followers as well as those on Instagram and on my YouTube channel, this probably seems like a massive change from what I'm usually talking about, but having spent the better part of last week with a number of different Ukrainian friends who were experiencing difficulty taking their money out of ATMs, I really want this knowledge to be out there. So this is what we're going to do today. If you would do me a solid and subscribe to my brand new station, Markets with May, on YouTube, that would be amazing. If you want to forward this, that's awesome. If you want to comment and let a thumbs up. But honestly, I really just think that people need to kind of know what to do, because not having cash and being in a foreign country is just really, really scary. The first thing is Apple Pay. Now, a lot of Ukrainians already use Apple Pay because it was available in the Ukraine. If you're an older Ukrainian, this may seem very odd. Apple Pay can be attached to any bank, and it can be attached to something like PayPal or other apps. So depending on the circumstances, this may be the best way to have at least some form of payment available. Apple Pay is accepted in many of the major countries that folks fled to. For example, it is accepted in Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. It is not available currently in Moldova. If your loved one is in one of those countries and they are primarily in the Ukrainian banking system, this may be a potential very quick near-term solution to at least have access to some money. The second thing is, if you've got an employer, if you've got friends and family that are trying to send you money overseas, have them direct those funds to this payment intermediary like a PayPal or whichever Cash App or other type of fintech that you're using. Do not necessarily have them direct it to your banking account until you can make sure that you have access to that funding. Really, every day you've got to feed yourself, you've got to pay for hotels, things like that. So this might be a much smarter way to have access to cash. Third thing I want to talk about is KYC. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. Every single bank, every single financial institution has to do what they are considering due diligence to make sure that you're not money laundering. Now, I know that this sounds like a lot of big words, but essentially they need to just identify that you are who you say you are. And so there's a bit of documentation that each bank has. They're not trying to hassle you. Even in normal times, this KYC process, if you're not from that country of origin, can take some time. It can take 3 to 5 business days. So I want to just let you know that what you want to do as relates to getting these international bank accounts is just give yourself a little bit of time. Don't get frustrated, and just make sure that you've got your documents in order. Every bank more or less asks for the same type of documentation. It's going to be like proof of employment, your passport number, your ID number that the country that you're coming in from is asking for. Sometimes they'll ask for a driver's license. It really does vary. But because this process can take a little bit of time, some banks are faster than others. I'll go through that next. You just kind of want to just see what documentation you have and what documentation might need to be replaced. I know that you guys left and were not possibly thinking about this. If you're missing some documentation, don't despair. The Ukrainian officials that are in these various places that people fled to, my understanding is they're trying very hard to get you the documents you need so that you can be okay abroad. So you may want to go ahead and start identifying what you have and what you don't have so that friends and family can help you troubleshoot. If you see something, put it in the comments below. I'm not going to know everything about Eastern Europe and Central Europe, but perhaps someone else does know the answer and can post and respond. Now that brings me to my 5th item, which is what neobanks and banks would be able to offer a bank account to a Ukrainian. Where is Mailing is one of my original accounts. I'm a global nomad. This is something that every global nomad deals with. There are a handful of banks that cross various countries. Now, my understanding is that Revolut, which is one of the stronger banks, will work provided you're not Ukrainian. So if you're non-Ukrainian and you fled the Ukraine and are experiencing these difficulties, try Revolut first, because they are very much so designed for all the things that my suspicion is you're going to want to do over the next few months. Now, if you're Ukrainian national, Ukrainian citizen, and Revolut isn't an option for you, then you'll want to go to the largest banks in a country, or alternatively, the international banks, because it isn't every bank that has the correct infrastructure to open accounts for international people. The smaller banks most likely will not be able to help you because they just don't have the right infrastructure to link up to the international banking system and correctly process your documents. So look for, in every country, Google search the biggest banks, and then you'll want to see what documentation they personally require. The documentation that's required absolutely can be different from each and every bank. Additionally, the amount of time each bank takes to process the documentation can really vary as well. With over 1 million folks leaving the Ukraine, my suspicion is it will take a bit longer. Hang in there. The last thing I want to mention is that no matter what you figure out for your financial solution during this crazy time, double check the fees. Here's the thing, all international finance of this sort has always had some fairly significant fees associated with it. That's not someone trying to gouge you. There is a ton of administration that is additional to process these types of accounts. So let's say you're using PayPal, Venmo here locally in the United States with other local people. It may feel like there's no transaction fees, but the minute you start using it internationally, those fees are very real, and they can really draw down the cash that you have either sent or someone's trying to use on a day-to-day basis. So really just double check that and make sure you understand it very comfortably. And that's really all I have, even though there are probably an infinite number of questions depending on what your specific circumstances are and which country you fled to. But I wanted to get the conversation started, and I wanted to put this out there to the extent that you have loved ones that are trying to emotionally just absorb what is happening. You do want to start moving them in this direction, because it has always been, even before this tumultuous time, quite a bit of effort to get your finances sorted in a foreign country. Again, I'm a young channel. If you'd hit the subscribe button, I would love that. But really all I care about is that everybody stay safe. Until next time, bye guys.